And welcome back to the Metaphysical Apothecary. We are your hosts, Megan and Shannon. We are also known as the Scorpio Sisters, and we are here to explore the mysterious, magical, and the arcane. So when we start to queer our craft and combine these energies and recognize that it's not two energies in a duality, it's many energies in a spectrum, it starts to impact the way that deities interact with us, or we interact with deities and other energies in some really interesting ways. At least it does for Shannon and I. So for me, particular deities represent particular things. Artemis is the steward of my heart chakra, and she is the ultimate lesbian. She has come to me as the ultimate lesbian. In mythology, she's characterized as an unmarried virgin goddess who surrounds herself with other women, and none of them engage in sexual activity. And for some people, that might really resonate. Somebody who is asexual, aromantic, or who is exploring demisexuality, she could definitely fill that role. For me, that does not resonate at all. Artemis is the ultimate woman-loving woman who also embodies some very receptive energies because she's a moon goddess. She is steward of the earth. She's a steward of childbirth. However, she's got her own dose of projective energy in there because of the associations between her and the stag and bow and arrow. So she sits at the apex of my chakra system, and she helps me balance those two energies within myself and teaches me how I can tap into both of those energies to express myself as a woman-loving woman, as someone who is non-binary, but is always embodied of feminine energy, and somebody who may have some discomfort or shame surrounding those things because of the way that I've been socialized. Someone else who is very prominent in terms of balancing those two energies for me is Hades. Shannon and I actually interact with Hades very, very differently. So for me, Hades is genderqueer. He/they come to me as gender fluid. He's either vaguely masculine or an even split between the two energies. He's nurturing, he's gentle, strong, but also vulnerable because his wife is such a such a badass in her own right. He's very okay with her to the limelight and tending his flowers and tending his deep, deep wells of knowledge, which is one of the things that he brings to me.
So for me, Hades comes across as cis man, and he exudes projective energy and protective energy. He's more of a guardian who is watching over the domain of his wife when she's out visiting her mother for half the year, and making sure that usurpers don't come in and try to take over her territory. So he's very projective and electric for me when I'm interacting with him. He stands at the deepest, darkest parts of her realm, the places that she doesn't actually normally visit, and makes sure that those energies do not come out and interact with her realm or the realms of Earth. He's a guardian of our dimension, our plane of existence, and he guards against these deep, dark, and lower frequency dimensions that wouldn't interact well with our frequency and might disturb it in not necessarily beneficial ways.
And it's interesting because the way that I interact with Hades, he still embodies that projective energy, but it's a much gentler projectivity. He's still that guardian figure. He's the guardian of all knowledge. He's the guardian of wealth and abundance and prosperity, and also somebody who holds the line. But it's a much more relaxed way of doing things.
He's definitely more assertive. You're not going to see him back down from the challenge, whether he's doing it gently with you or assertively with me. One of my deity energies that are on my pantheon that I interact with and I have been interacting with for a very long period of time has been Loki. Now that Loki's started streaming on Disney Plus, there's been Easter eggs, which makes me very excited. Loki is finally being recognized as gender fluid. He's also orientated as being bisexual. I started interacting with Loki from a research perspective into Norse mythology, and Loki is very gender fluid in Norse mythology. As a shapeshifter, he has sired children and he has given birth to children. He can appear masculine, he can appear feminine, he can appear as a non-binary individual who's not giving you any particular clue to whether or not they have a gender. He thrives in that situation. As a god of magic, mischief, he loves being able to do what needs to get done in any way, shape, or form. So if he needs to be projective or receptive, he can shift and become whatever he needs to be. And I'm using the he pronoun because he mostly appears in a masculine form with me. Not exclusively, but mostly. And he has no problem interacting with anyone or anything in a sexual manner. If he's interested in you and you are a horse, well, he becomes a horse and makes his interest known. And he sits on my pantheon in a way that allows me to remember his fluidity, going from one energy to another, going from projective to receptive, going from a masculine form to a feminine form to a non-binary form, an agender form, really does help me move and adapt and take up the energies that I need to take up in order to get projects done or to get certain workings out of my procrastination closet and onto a work table. And he exemplifies that for me just because of who and what and how he does. Another deity that sits on my pantheon who is glorious in more ways than one is Apollo. And Apollo, cis man, leans more towards homosexual but could be pansexual, is probably more homo-romantic actually when I start thinking about it. The way I interact with him, he prefers having sexual and romantic relationships with men. He's not exclusive to them, to the men, or to having relationships with men, but he prefers them. I go to him whenever I feel I need to be more supportive of my LGBTQ plus friends, where I feel like I need to be a better friend or a better ally, or how can I be more supportive? What ways or things or words can I provide that will help support and give the people that I love what they need?
Would you say Apollo is a good example of a typically homosexual oriented projective male energy?
Yes.
He's got some healing energy in there, whereas his twin sister Artemis, for me, is very receptive, but also has...
She's a hunter.
Right.
One energy that I'd like to talk about, and I don't know, a while back, we talk about her all the time, and I do want to plug that she's an amazing YouTube witch, and she has an amazing website and a Patreon account that please go explore. Molly Robert, in one of her videos, had talked about creating your own saint, patron saint to work with if you don't resonate with any of the saints and energies that already exist within known history and known culture. And I was actually explaining this to Megan's wife, who I was just excited about the concept, and I was explaining it to her. And as I was explaining it to her, I had actually created what I thought was going to be an example, and turns out is not something I created as an example, but became a very big part of my practice. And she is the patron saint of Shannon, but not exclusive to me. If anyone else it resonates with this, is Via Beldona, and her 3-syllable name comes from different Mediterranean languages. Via being force or strength or power, Bel being beautiful or beauty, and Dona being woman. And she is the patron saint of allowing my feet or your feet to lead you where you're supposed to go, including stopping. Beauty through the authentic expression of self, the strength and courage it takes to express that in our world, and daring to inspire and being audacious enough to inspire others by living your life in that way. She prefers the she pronoun. Her preferred physical appearances range from a glowing orb of golden light to a image of the Empress Theodora from the Byzantine Empire with an Adam's apple, and recently her most preferred form is Patrick Swayze's Vita Boheme in To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything from Julie Newmar in the 1995 movie, and Without a Ban's Apple.
So these are all examples of how not only are witchcraft and paganism inclusive for the queer community, they are perfect for the queer community. That's not to say that everyone who was part of the queer community has to be pagan, but if you're here, we're going to assume that you are. If you run into those who are not accepting of the way that you express yourself, of the way that you are oriented, of the way that you're comfortable being you and practicing magic, just know that the way that you practice is perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's malleable. It's malleable to create and invoke energies that are for everyone. And deity is also extremely malleable. And if none of the existing deities in mythology resonate with you, you can make your own, as Shannon pointed out, or don't discount the effectiveness of adopting pop pantheon figures.
Mm-hmm.
Crowley and Aziraphale from Good Omens are a beautiful example of this.
Yeah.
Crowley is a non-binary queer icon. Thank you for joining us once again at the Metaphysical Apothecary podcast. It's our hope that this has inspired you to queer your craft, whether you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community or you are a straight witch looking to tap into the energies already extant in your being. We hope that this has helped you view your craft in a new and different way. If you'd like to talk to us about what this podcast has inspired you to do, please reach out to us through the comments.
That's all we have on the topic for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we hope you'll join us again. In the meantime, you can follow us on our blog for some more witchy wisdom, as well as check out some of our original art on Society 6 for sacred decor and more. Thank you again for joining us, and go make some magic and live your best life. Bye.
Bye, everyone.